begin by welcoming all of you to the Singapore Islamic Club this evening. I know it's a period where all of you are planning to rush off to your holidays and your dinners, so we're very thankful that you made time for our session today. I'd like to thank our Deputy Chief Executive and Dean of Muis Academy, Dr. Al-Bakri Ahmad, for gracing this event. We're also deeply honored to welcome Reverend Dr. Yap Kim Hao, former Vice President of the Interreligious Organization and currently Pastoral Advisor at the Free Community Church. The professorship held by Prof. Gavin is actually in his name for all the good he's done nurturing interfaith relations. And we'd like to also welcome fellow religious leaders, interfaith leaders, community leaders to our session this afternoon. This evening. Allow me to sort of briefly recap what Muis Academy does. We're actually the research and development arm of the Islamic Religious Council of Singapore. And our goal is actually to develop religious leadership for the modern world so as to shape a more progressive religious life. And at the beginning of the year, we embarked on a discourse series that sought to nurture conversations, positing a forward-looking role of Islam and Muslims and their positive contributions to the modern world. And we know that the discussions on the compatibility of religion, secularism, and modernity continues and persists, and it's only been heightened in the past few years for a number of socio-economic and geopolitical reasons. But I would also argue that the role of religion today is one that is also the one that is most misunderstood. And with that, we embarked on a series of discussions to nurture and cultivate common spaces within the uncommon spaces in Singapore, aiming to openly discuss issues and challenges not only faced by religious leaders, but scholars of religion, activists within civic society, and as well as those involved in public policy. Tonight's In Conversation is actually the culmination of the end of our research into two broad themes, which is religion in the public sphere, as well as developments in Islamic thought and traditions and reform. All these discussions, arguments, debates throughout the year, publications, narratives, and ideas deconstruction seem to be the building blocks that seem to center around the central discussion that we wish to address tonight, which is, can or should religion play a public role in today's society? Can religion or religious leadership provide new creative solutions to modern challenges? And if so, what are the key concepts? What are the guidelines that sort of nurture and allow us to have a discursive discussion and negotiation within the public space? So I hope the discussion tonight will be more open. It's a conversation, it's not presentations per se, and audiences are free to chime in with questions, but not only questions, ideas and critical solutions to the modern challenges that we face together. But as moderator, I hope to facilitate the discussion centered around three broad themes. One is to assess the state of religion of today. Harnessing, number two would be religion and the common good. And lastly, towards the end of the session, hopefully we'll have a good ample time to discuss what are practical solution-focused ways that we can move forward together as a community. I'd like to welcome our Mufti of Singapore as well. Thank you, Dr. Fatris Bakaram, for gracing our event. So we're really glad to be in the good company of not only of scholars of religion, practitioners, civic society activists, but also religious leaders who embody what the beauty that religion can play in our society. I'd like to proceed to introduce our distinguished panelists for today. Professor Gavin is the Yap Kim Hao Professor of Comparative Religious Studies at Yale-NUS. He's interested in Hindu traditions and questions of comparative religion and the explanation of religion. Before coming to Yale-NUS, Professor Flood was a professor of Hindu Studies and Comparative Religion at Oxford University and Senior Research Fellow at Campion Hall. His latest publications include The Truth Within, a comparative history of inwardness in Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism, as well as The Importance of Religion, Meaning and Action in Our Strange World. Dr. Muhammad Hassan is currently the Deputy Director of Capacity Building and Interfaith Engagement, as well as Vice Dean of Muis Academy at the Islamic Religious Council of Singapore. He specializes in Muslim-Jewish relations, interfaith relations, and history and philosophy, Islamic law in the Malay Nusantara. Dr. Muhammad Hannan's research interests also include philosophy and history of ideas and civilizations. And working under Professor Wael Halak at McGill University, his PhD thesis focused on Islamic legal thought and practices of 17th century Aceh, treating the others. Welcome to the both of you. Before that, I'd like to probably preface it by assessing what is actually the current state on the religions of today. And I thought I'd like to be sort of candid and honest and really say that honestly, globally in 2016, it's not been a good year for religion. Let's be honest, right? ISIS has hijacked the role of, and even safety and security of Muslims and Islam in the global discourse, giving rise to heightened Islamophobia around the world. We see religious rights being trampled as well because of these reactions towards the rise of these extremist tendencies. We see the US president election actually heightening and amplifying a discourse of hate, intolerance based on ethnic, racial, and religious lines. Religion is constantly being politicized, and I feel like, honestly, are these very good reasons actually for religion to be within the private and be separated from politics and society? So I thought I'd start off trying to address that we are currently looking at 2016 that is very, it's not as hopeful as positive as we would like it to be. So I thought I'd start the conversation off by maybe asking for your thoughts on those two broad areas. Hassan, maybe you'd like to.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me. Very pleased to be here. I think the questions of this evening is raising are terribly important for the contemporary world, especially as with contemporary politics there seems to be an entrenchment back to old identities and feelings of certainty. But it seems to me that one of the things that religion does do is challenge our certainties and challenge questions about who we are, is that it should do. So the role of religion in the public sphere is a terribly important question. Should it have a role? Given the terrible record that religions have, to be honest, in history, because of their link to power, is not John Locke sitting in Christchurch in Oxford right? He says after 30 years of religious war, let's separate religion from politics. Let's put religion in the private realm and politics in the public realm, and hopefully that will stop the terrible slaughter of religious matters. So I think there is something to be said for that to some degree. But I also think that there is a place for religion in the public sphere. But so long as people, the participants within religions, share certain common cultural values, and that's terribly important. We have to share. We have to have a vision of humanity in which we share cultural values in common. And we also have to operate within legal states, and that means particularly within legislative systems, which I want to talk about more perhaps in a moment. But those are some opening ideas perhaps. I could go on, or should I
No, personally I thought, if I can make a brief statement, that it is only human that we become religious. But a lot depends on how we see, how we define religions. I mean, I don't intend to be academic, theological here about defining religion, but we all must have a certain conception of religion, what religion is. One of the things that we say religion, and therefore I say it is only human, it is only natural that we think of religion, or we probably become religious people is that I thought religion gives a deeper meaning to Aristotelian definition of man, of human being. We all know that human being is defined as a rational animal. Yeah, I mean that's really standard. Any sophomore, any students will be able to understand that is an animal is a rational animal, and it is that part on rationality, and it is because of that rationality, religion sort of triggers or really pushes us to exercise our reason in asking fundamental questions about, because religion must go beyond simply rituals, simply ceremonial stuff that we do, but more importantly, it answers or it responses to fundamental question that human as a rational animal ask that question. Why are we here? What's good, what's bad? And these are fundamental, basic ethical questions which anyone will ask them, whether you are quote-unquote religious or non-religious. And this is where we understand religion as a source to finding those answers. And I think we are all somehow, some way, religious because we are a rational animal. And I think religion is about bringing humanity back to human being and focuses on the rationality rather than the animality, if you wish, the animal aspect of human being. So it is really inevitable that we cannot but have religion in the course of our conversation in this discourse. It may take different form, it may take different name. Even those who claim non-religious, for me, may carry some aspects or some criteria of religion. If you see religion as a metaphysical concept, if you see religion as an ethical system, as saying what's good, what's bad, then one is on that note. And even some, I've noticed that those who claim to be not a religion do have certain rituals and ceremonies that symbolism that they adhere to. So it is only human, it is only natural to me that the religion cannot but play some role. The question is not whether religion or not religion, but the question is really about the question of what's good and what's bad, and get as many as possible people participating in that conversation, trying to nurture goodness and avoid harm and bad.
If I could pick up on a couple of things that Dr. Hassan said, I completely agree with what he's just proposed. Two things really. I think one is, in some sense, religions, I always think of religions as a response to wonder, in a way, which is actually an ancient Greek understanding of what philosophy was. But having said that, there's also an issue with regard to the category of religion as it's developed in discourse, and the way that's applied globally, as it were. And so we talk about Hinduism, Buddhism as religion, and so on. I think there are religions, but we have to be very sensitive to what that means. We have to be wary about religion as a sort of colonialist discourse, in the sense that it's imposed a Western category of religion onto the whole world. And we have to be wary of that, because what religion means in Nepal is very different from what it means in America or other parts of the world. So we have to be a bit critical and analytical with our understanding of the notion of religion. We have to sort of pull it apart a bit. So what is religion? I mean, I'm not going to offer a definition, but I think the response to one is one part of it, but it's also, it's not doctrines, it is what it is. Abrahamic religions focus on doctrine, but it's much more than that. It's ways of its comportment towards the world, it's ways of living the world, it's rituals, it's ritual systems, and it's religious experience of some kind. So there's probably at least 3 or 4 elements that you can analyze religion into. my old colleague for started to say that definitions come at the end. I quite like that. We have to have a pre-understanding, but we don't want to close it up by definition at the beginning. So I would like to always prefer a definition of religion. Although I am attracted by Durkheim's understanding of religion as social facts. I think religions are social facts. And as social facts, they are important in the world, and whether we're religious or non-religious, we have to confront them, we have to deal with them, and they do have a place in the public sphere.
Yeah, but I was just picking up on one of your proclamations, and I think we're also treading the line of always talking religion in a positive sense, but I can't help but sort of like assess that there's something really emotive, there's an emotive force behind religion that can drive people towards good, but also evil, or also to go towards injustice, or like as we clearly see from other parts, like injustices are done in religion, it seems to be like a very strong motivating factor for people of some religious background to commit these crimes. And so how do we balance that when we're talking about the role that we take for religion?
I think this is terribly important. Again, for very old teachers, John Barker referred to religions as licensed insanities. And why did he call them that? He said religions are so wonderful because they are so terrible. Now, what does that mean? That they are so wonderful. They provide people with such resources and inner strength and meaning in their life that they are really attached to those forms, those traditions, and those forms. And as a result of that, religions are so terrible because people will defend those boundaries of their traditions, of their lives. They'll try to impose them savagely on everybody else. And so it's the savagery of religion, and that we have to fight against. I think we have to inject kind of liberal values in a way into these kinds of religions which are so terrible because they are so wonderful. So we have to keep the wonder of religion and get rid of the terror of it. Now, I can understand that secularists come along and say, well, look what's happened. These religions are killing each other, and it'd be better to get rid of them all. But then if you look at secularism, that doesn't have much of a good history either. Look at China and Russia in the last 20th century, where secular ideologies have slaughtered millions of people in a way, just as much as religious ideologies have. So I think it's a human. I don't think it's the fault of religion. It's the fault of the people who propose those religions and defend them.
And that only points to what I started earlier by saying that it is only human, it is only natural in a human being, and religion is really a force for action with. I mean, because now people are using religion to justify. It is really in us. It's really a stronghold from within, and people are using religion for bad or wrong, for bad or wrong, religion, and it is really an appealing form. So, and then that again reinforces the point I mentioned earlier that it is emotive, it is natural, it is within us. It's how we manipulate, so to speak, or when we use that force, that natural force within us, for which purpose, for what purpose. I think that will determine the role.
How then, I'd like to open up the discussions to everyone to chime in and share their thoughts, but I suppose like when we started off, we talking about religion as a positive force, as something very core to almost billions of people around the world, because I think numerous research has shown that as much as we like to think issues are secular or neutral, I think a lot of people make decisions on a day-to-day basis based on their religious background. So how do we negotiate this terrain where we're seeing rising religiosity? I think the discourse of the role of religion is heightened, how we sort of squaring the ideas of working within the secular state. Secularism as seen as the moderator of all aspirations within the community, as the referee of all the aspirations of various backgrounds, whether religious or not. So how do we sort of square that off?
I think it's a complex question. On the one hand, we do see a rise in religions, and the secularism thesis, I think, is dead really, that's gone. But certainly in what Charles Taylor has called the North Atlantic, secularism is still very rampant. And I suspect we might see a demise of say, Christianity in Scandinavia, the UK, possibly some parts of North America. But then we see a rise of Christianity, just Christianity in South America, China, and other parts of the world. So it probably balances out. Now, regarding the question of how those burgeoning religions sit with the secular state, that's an interesting question. If I may have a slight digression here, I was a couple of days ago, I was thinking of politics with regard to this session, and it seems to me, if you can imagine like a cross, you have two axes. You have a power axis. This is a kind of analysis of contemporary political systems. You have an axis of power, which is to do with political system and centralization, state centralization or not. So you have, say, strong centralization here, or weak centralization over here. You have another axis, which is a legal system, and you have strong legislation, so at the top, or weak legislation at the bottom. And you can map different political systems onto that kind of grid. So you have autocracy, which has strong centralized state and strong legislative system. You have the idea of anarchy, which is no centralization and no law, very weak law. So Peter Kropotkin in Russia has a very optimistic view of human nature, saying that that's our ideal. But what you in reality you get is dysfunctional African states and so on. And then on the other side you get strong centralization, but weak law, no law, and that's where you get savage dictatorships. That's North Korea in my view. And then you have strong centralized state plus a decentralized state plus strong law. And that, in my view, is where the democracies lie. They're decentralized, ideally, but they also act within a strong legal system. And it seems to me that religions have to adapt to the states in which they live. And it's, my view is the ideal kind of states are towards that end of the spectrum, where you have strong legal system but decentralization, but religions, and that promotes pluralism and tolerance. So if you have decentralization and nevertheless a strong legal framework which reflects the cultural values of the place where it is, you have religions have to fit in with that, and that's the place where that promotes tolerance and pluralism. The other side, you've got theocracy, haven't you? You've got a strong centralized state and a strong legal system. Could be theocratic, but in my view, that's not the way that the world should be going. You have to have a progressive, plural agenda in the future.
If you might ask you to further elaborate on the level of you're saying that you prefer a decentralized but a good, strong legal structure. What do you actually envisage?
Yes, something like that.
Is there any country in the world?
Is there any country? No. I was thinking of the UK, but I was also thinking of Singapore, because that's it's fairly strongly centralized, but it has a good system of law. But it also has tolerance and pluralism, to some degree anyway. I've only been here, what do I know? Yeah, these are ideal positions. If you have decentralization, where political decisions are taken at a local level, that seems to make sense to me. But also, that has to be within a common framework of strong legislation. And well, I think the Western democracies are very close to that. With low degrees of centralization and so on. But the question is, how do we promote pluralism and tolerance? How do we build that into the legislation? How do we build that into our public discourse? And it seems to me that you have to have strong legislation to do that, but also weak centralization. The thing with legislation, however, is that legislation reflects the cultural values of the place where it occurs. So, and that must be informed, those cultural values are informed, must be informed by religions to some extent, perhaps historically and perhaps in the contemporary world. We see this with the abortion issue in the States, that the legislation there is informed by a religious discourse. I think it has to be as well. So it's a very difficult area. But if you've got the structure in place, and you can have open discussion in a safe, nurturing environment.
I have a question though. When we're talking about state structures and legislation, these are not neutral institutions or neutral variables. These are institutions that are very much influenced by the policymakers, civic society, advocates of certain ideas, and ideologues even. So what is the role of these sort of actors within the political system? How do they ensure that a sort of inclusive, pluralistic legislation comes about when we know, even with the current state, that religion is sort of justified to stereotype, to legislate against certain religious minorities, based on certain human beings. So how do we ensure that if it's a strong legislative system, but it's then still built up by human beings? So how do we ensure that policymakers, civic society, scholars of religion are having these critical discussions?
This is a very good question. I'm not a political scientist, so I'm not speaking. I'm just speaking as a citizen here. It's not my personal opinion. Well, in the UK and in Europe, every 5 years, 6 years, you can kick them out. So, I encourage.
Just so we have this conversation, I want to invite participants to participate in this conversation. We've got an end there.
I'm Edmund Hannan. I write on re-engineering and ecology. So I have an interest in today's talk because I think we may not have got a focus strong enough. I think we should be talking about religion in the context of the public sphere. We talk about the common space, right? So we can imagine that we can be talking about the ecology, okay? And then in the common space, we have the biodiversity. It means we talk about diversity in common space. And how does religion, in this multiplicity, relate to the common space? Even when we have theocracy, right? Theocracy also has a problem because theocracy basically relates to government, right? With a religious focus, right? And this religious focus is a single religion, right? You cannot have more than one religion, then it's not a theocracy. Okay? And then in a theocracy, right, it doesn't seem to work around the world, right? Because within the theocracy, there's also diversity. You have the different the different what we call breakouts in a religion. And this diversity, right, doesn't contribute to a good environment, because in diversity, if there's no what we call no harmony, right? Then we will think that this common space, right, is not useful. So how do we actually, moderate the diversity in the common space? Then when we bring in religion, right, then we talk about how do we manage different religions in a common space? Should we do it on a secular basis? I think when we talk about many religions in a common space, we cannot have a theocracy approach. There must be a system that moderates the different religions, and because different religions are so diverse, then how do we moderate them and they interrelate to each other?
Personally, the way, if I can concretize and personalize this question about religion in public space, I imagine a citizen of a democratic society, like myself, and I'm an equal citizen, just like yourself and all of us. And as citizens in the democratic society, I want to partake and participate in discussing common rules, what's good, issue of violence, and any other issues as a citizen. And I so happen to be Hannan and a Muslim, and I draw guidance and inspiration from my religion. Yeah. I also draw inspiration and guidance from probably other sources, which may not necessarily be anti-religion, but I'm guided by this certain worldview, by certain ethics, beliefs, and I attend that conversation about what's good, what's bad, what's appropriate for the country as a citizen. I make no apology to say that yes, I'm guided by, inspired by my religion. And that's how quote-unquote religion comes into action. It's not religion per se, but it's me, in my personality as Hannan, guided by religion. Yes, I will not put the blame or the accountability on religion, but it's me, my understanding of religion, to the conversation. And I see that as that's how religion comes or participates in that conversation in the common place. And it can be Hannan, it can be Reverend Yale, it can be anyone else, and we're all guided by certain views, perceptions of life, of problems. And I also seek guidance from religion to give me that sense of purpose in living, in spite of the pains and agonies that we see in this world, in spite of the conflict, the warring societies. But I find solace, I find optimism and hope in religion to give me that hope not to give up. Because life is not just about here, it's something else. And I may not be able to resolve the current conflict, the problems in this world. But I'm optimistic, I have that belief, faith. And I draw this from religion, and I participate in that conversation because I'm that person. And that's how I see religion comes in action. It's not religion per se, but it's through us, believers, those who hold to some religious views. Yeah. So, as citizen in the democratic society, I have all the rights to participate and express it. Just like anyone else, seculars, progressive, liberal, humanist, social. We all are participants in this conversation. Let's not talk about, okay, don't bring religion here. No, I'm not bringing religion, I'm participating in this discussion. And I must admit, and like you, we all inspired and we draw guidance from some sources. And in this case, I draw guidance from my religion. But you've got to take this as Hannan, a Singaporean citizen, participating in this conversation.
That was I think I agree with that. That we as individual people participate in the public sphere, and we're informed by our traditions and our religions and so on. So it's not as if there are abstract notions of religion that we place in the public sphere. We're just people speaking with each other within the public sphere, and we're informed by our religions. Just 2 points, I think. One is to do with education. That we have education about religions, about each other's cultures, is terribly important. We should be doing that in schools and right the way up through to universities. And when we're speaking in the public sphere, we should speak about common and shared values and common problems. There's no point, we have to have a robust and rigorous interfaith dialogue, I suppose, between religions within the public sphere. But there's no point in speaking about abstract theology. There's no point in a Christian theologian speaking with a Muslim colleague about the Trinity, for example. It's just a waste of time. There are certain fundamental doctrines that the traditions hold. That's what they are, that's what they hold. So there's little value, I think, in interfaith dialogue with regard to doctrine, but there's great value in interfaith dialogue with regard to ethics, ethical issues, how we should guide ourselves, where a society should go, what our directions are, what's the purpose of our society, where are we taking it, what direction should we go. So religions, I think, interfaith dialogue within religions has an important place in that context.
I say my few words. My name is David Ong. I'm an interracial and interreligious chairman, IRCC. When I first received this circular that we're going to have this program, my first thought was, is there a public role for institutionalized religion today? Which is different from religion in itself. And it is this institutionalized religion that causes us a lot of problems. And what in our organization, IRCC, throughout Singapore, what we want to do is to foster greater understanding of each other's religion, because we are so multi-religious. And one word which I find, with all due respect to your vocabulary just now, is the word religious tolerance. I think that tolerance means, like my mother used to tolerate my nonsense. In other words, my religion is right and yours is wrong, but I am tolerating it. I think we should drop that word from our vocabulary and instead think of religious harmony. Tolerance means I'm right or wrong. So let's always from now on use the word harmony. So that what we do is we visit other religious institutions like churches, synagogues, temples and all that, and we have meals together, and that gives a greater understanding of where we are and who we are. There's nothing to be afraid of each other, and then there's a commonality of humankind. I mean, even if you went back further to history, pre-Abrahamic and pre-Buddhist and all that, how did religion begin? Religion began in an agrarian and agricultural society where men were lost. And so there was a sky god which controlled the weather for the agriculture, and the earth god which controlled fertility. And at the end of the day, it was the sky god who overcame the earth god. And so this religious themes developed based on the god from the sky. And this came true because when I was very active in World Vision about 30 years ago, we found that the people who lived in regions where the weather was controllable, where the crops were growing well, were less religious than the people who lived in barren areas, in desert areas, in flooded areas. They became more religious because they felt lost. And this was what World Vision 30 years ago we did a study and we discovered nothing to do with religion, but the cultural characteristics of certain populations. So, and then from that original sky god concept, we developed it into what we are today in terms of religion. I think every child, every boy will learn where we are coming from or where we have come from, that we greater religious harmony rather than tolerance.
If I could just briefly respond to that, yes, I I shouldn't use the word toleratory because it does have that connotation. But when you were speaking about another word came to mind, which was cosmopolitanism. So I think that a multi-religious, plural society is a cosmopolitan society, and that's one of the values that we should seek to promote.
But that also points to the idea of that it is not all about an abstract religious doctrine, I would say. There are many elements to it. Culture, your geographical locations, your climate, your economy. So there are many things at play. But to essentialize many of the problems to this one particular doctrine, I thought that is oversimplification of what is a complex problem.
Thank you very much. My name is Ridwan. I'm a Muslim by faith. I take it from the tone of the discussion this evening that there's a very strong interreligious element. We're talking about fear. If religion takes on the public sphere, there will be inter-religious differences. But let's take this topic in a slightly different dimension. An intra-religious element in this topic. And I want to share my understanding of the dilemma that a Muslim will face in the context of such a topic. You know, it's in the nature of religious traditions. In some religious traditions, religion, it's easier to talk about religion as a very private individual thing. But the very nature of Islam and Islamic traditions is that there is a private element, what we call ibadah, and a more public aspect of it, what we call mu'amalah. And to divorce a certain aspect of the Islamic tradition involving social relationship in our transactions would be to completely, seems to me, almost saying to Muslims that let's rewrite the Muslim tradition. And that's a tremendous challenge. To say to Muslims that you have to look at other religions whose traditions are much more private and be like them. And don't allow Islam to be having this private element as well as this public dimension. I think this would be very problematic for Muslims. Rather, the question should be, how do you create an environment which allows the Muslim community to have its own discourse about the public element, as long as it does not infringe on the beliefs and the practices of people of other faiths? So as long as the Muslims, for example, when I still remember when the former Archbishop of Canterbury, Archbishop Rowan Williams, talked about allowing Muslims to talk about Sharia, it immediately raised an outcry among many people in the United Kingdom to say, how can the Archbishop be saying such a thing? How can you allow such a thing? But then I can see that there is an element, that aspect, that couldn't the Muslim community discuss this aspect of understanding and defining the role of Sharia within the context of present-day society in the UK, as long as it does not infringe on any of the other religious communities? Now, do you think that this kind of environment can come about in present-day society? Thank you.
That's a very difficult question. I come back to my initial point in a way that we all participate in society, whether we're Muslims or non-Muslims or Christians or atheists. And participating in that society means certain shared values and a shared legislative system. And all those communities have to participate in that, in my view. And I think you've got problems when you start saying that different communities can have their own legal system. That's okay, but what happens when the legal system conflicts with the main body legal system? Which one takes precedence and so on? I think that could be a problem there. But on the whole, that is an issue, I agree. Particularly when the tradition wishes to maintain such a very strong political and public face. What do you do in a pluralist society like in Singapore, where you have a secular legislation, but you also have very strong communities of faith that want to abide by their own understanding, want to abide by their own laws and traditions? I don't have an answer.
My name is Wolfgang. I'm PR in Singapore. I'm lucky to be here because I have a lot of concerns about the developments in Europe. I come from Germany. With the globalization and migration, you have many more clashes between the religions, and I have some difficulties to believe too much in interfaith conversations, because in my view there seems to be an inbuilt in religions. You have among the German Catholics, I think a dozen different independent churches, the same in Protestantism, and so on and so on. So every community, every religious community thinks they have a special relation to God. And I think there's no such thing as God's own country or a chosen people. And the question is how to teach your believers, and some are really aggressively believing, how to teach them there's this incredible breadth of varieties of religion, and practically all have a classification. And with the political situation at the moment, the immigration of endless numbers of Muslims into Europe, the problem is really bursting. You have schools in Berlin, for example, where there are 80% Muslims and no German student anymore. And in all mixed schools, they are asking for halal food for the Christians as well. This is creating so many problems. This cannot go on. My question is, where do you see the possibility of getting a more broader, tolerant view and prevent the fanatics to stir up all this turmoil?
If I could just jump in, because I think these questions are relevant to the second part of the discussion, which is talking about harnessing religion for the common good. How common is the common in the common good? When you're talking about shared values, are those really shared between all members of the community? And I think the second part of the discussion is to also see whether religion can contribute to building more inclusive society. So I sort of introduced the second part of the discussion, and linking what you just said about the exclusivist nature inherent in all religions. There's a real fear, I think, when we're talking about allowing religion into the public space, there's a real fear about moral policy, about the imposition of certain moral beliefs upon others that is not shared by other communities, as well as fears of proselytization. So when you see moral policing happening within common spaces and exclusivisms sort of like inherent within the idea of religious tribes, how do you balance that with looking what we are building as a common good, what is building with shared values, when we're talking about public good? So it seems that using these terminologies of common good is also sort of like deterring individual rights and minority rights that may not be addressed when we talk about common goods for the society. So I thought I'd just like segue into the second part of the discussion.
Just in quick response to that question, Europe is in crisis, I think, and difficult to see, but I think it has to be generation. We need religious education, by which I mean teaching children and students about each other's traditions and religions, and teaching certain cultural values, not tolerance, but certain kind of cultural values of openness to the other. And that takes leadership as well. So you need education. I suspect it will be generational. You have to, if you begin that now, in a 1 or 2 generations' time, it will come to fruition. But what are we going to do in the meantime? In the meantime, we need strong leadership, I think, which I think you do in Germany. I think your chances has one of the few leaders in Europe who has more vision than American leader. But yes, so that would be my response to that question. That we need the European situation. We need education, particularly about religions.
I think what we need is really a sincere, open conversation. I do not know what will eventually be the model positions or the eventual outcome of the decision, but what's important is that we allow that conversation to take place. People of diverse, plural, different background. You can bring in your religious morality onto the table, engage it. But eventually, the strength of one's argument, if it's voted, will prevail. So, eventually, what would be the position? I do not know. Let's come together and talk about it. But the problem sometimes I fear is when, even before the conversion takes place, and it is not just religion who sort of impose or superimpose, but the powers, political powers, interests who come and then before even we start our conversation. Now that's troublesome, right? And therefore the position eventually, whatever the position is, to me probably did not really come out of that conversation, but really a play of influence power. So I'm prepared to bring people of diverse background onto the table, engage in conversation, but we must remain open. Apart from power, I think also the stereotypical views of the others, prejudices, is also an inhibition to this conversation. We come to the table with this preconceived, and even so, often also ignorance that breeds fear. So my call is, we need to come together. How do we arrive at that? Well, we come together and be optimistic, be positive of this conversation. I do not want to prejudge or preempt the eventual position. We are quite open. It may not be to our interest, probably even against my personal religious views. But given that opportunity, the conversation, I just have to live with that. I can certain Islamic position for something. But this is out of respect of the different participants in the conversation. Yes, sure. You're the monitor, Madam. Whatever.
It's an open democracy.
Alright, since I'm holding the microphone. No, I'm going back to the question, is there a public role for religion today? And along the discussion, I was quite uncomfortable because the way the word religion has been tossed around, as though it's a coherent, objectified, reified object, that is distinguishable, that it's static, and therefore we are trying to apply whether this object is relevant for public sphere or not. Of course, the experience of religion or the experience of the sacredness and the divine is something else from religion per se. That's how Professor Gavin had tried to define it in a variety of ways, that religion comprises of institutions, of certain rituals and practices, including the dimensions of power, etc. And this cannot be divorced from the fact that it is a human construct. That religion is a human construct if you understand religion in its totality, with all its various dimensions of it, which is different from the experience of the sacred and the presence of the divine, which is at the very root of the homo religiousness that gives rise to the human construct of religion. So we need to understand that first before we can even address this, because only when we see the religion as a human construct, then we can make sense of the diversity even within a particular religion itself, that there are different forms and ways of understanding religion even within the same tradition. Therefore, the question is not whether there's a public role for religion or not, but rather what is our imagination of religion, what kind of religion are we talking about, and therefore we can dissect whether a particular approach or understanding or way of being religious is compatible with our current conception of being in a pluralistic society that we are living right now. So the question is not about public role of religion, but what kind of religion we are talking about. And I'm not talking about the different religious communities, but our imagination of what religion is in itself and how it's supposed to function in society that needs to be discussed first before we can even talk about public role of religion.
Well, that's very interesting. Yes, in a sense, we have to agree with what we're disagreeing about before we can have a discussion. So, what is, I would concur with what you said. My view is that religion has a risen in human history and so on, is a human construction in that sense. Many of the traditions don't accept that. They think that there's a divine intervention in history through revelation or something. So, but when we talk about religions in the public sphere, I agree, we have to look at religion, we have to analyze it, and we have to see how it is formed in human societies and human history. I'm not trying to agree with you that we have to do that first. I think we can talk to each other without knowing what we're disagreeing about.
Thank you. Thank you for the enlightenment. So, my question is, because I apologize for my question, in case of offense, but given where humankind is today and how we have accepted civil law in many societies, I was going to ask whether is it timely that we reinterpret Islamic law as it is and move away from a reinterpretation of the Quran, which gives many wrongful or misguided interpretations to certain groups of people, and just move towards more humanistic and universal principles of justice, equality, just like civil law is, and not go back to the tafsir of the Al-Quran for its application in daily life. Thank you.
But I do not wish to preempt the outcome of the conversation. But you're already stating a condition and outcome that civil law is the law, and then we therefore put aside the reinterpretation of the Quran and so forth. What I'm saying is we all come together, and probably how we understand, how we interpret, and that may not be necessarily go against the civil law, or probably within that civil law, the human construction is problematic. So I wouldn't want to begin with say, okay, no room for you, no room for you, and no room for you, and then it is this on the basis of humanism, for example, as you're referring to, and then you're saying that this is the language of the conversation, and this is the condition of the conversation. Well, probably in humanist views, there's credit, there's merit to it. But let's come and engage it. And it is also our responsibility in trying to understand the others. Often, sometimes we misunderstand whether the Muslim misunderstands the humanist views, or vice versa, or we misunderstand the Buddhist, Hindus, and so forth. And that's why, as I mentioned just now, that we need to know one of the inhibition is really these stereotypes and prejudices. And even when this is based on ignorance, it's not really a thorough understanding of religious traditions. And I say traditions because there are many traditions, even within Islam. But having said that, I agree with you, which I also concur with Brother Gavin, that I would wish to recommend later is really when we talk about in conversation, people of different beliefs and religion, I think we also need to dialogue and engage in a conversation within one tradition. The intra-faith tradition, it is dialogue with our traditions. We need to be critical, we need to appraise and be critical of our traditions. Yeah. So the intra-faith, within the tradition, that there ought to be similar conversation and dialogue. I agree that religion is human construction, but I also believe that there are parts in religion which are humanly constructed, but I also believe that there are parts that this is what was Hawabit, this is permanent values. The idea of God, as a Muslim, I believe that's not human construction. I believe that this God is one God, whom I believe, and that is immutable. We can continue to argue philosophically, theologically, whether that stands, whether that's defensible or not. But as a citizen, I'd like to believe on that. So I agree that there are parts in religion which is human construct. Probably most of it is human construct. It's human interpretation of many things, our imagination. But I also believe that there are parts which is basically permanent. It's established fact. You are the scholar of religion, so you like that, right?
Well, that's exactly what you said, is that the position would be from within Islam or from Christianity, would be that there are immutable values. There is the voice of God, if you like, in those traditions. But in secular states, we have to interact with each other and agree about common values, regardless of our religious beliefs in a sense, or regardless of what we do our religions to be holding. And so that's where you're in the realm of the human and so on, we're talking about how we legislate, what are our cultural values, where are we going as a society. And I think we can do that, and the people involved could be well informed by their beliefs in God and so on, but that doesn't have to be on the table because it's a theological issue. I think it's important to speak about theology in the public sphere in that way.
So if I could just quickly pick up on Zubi's point, I think it's the idea of religion or any faith giving meaning to oneself. And if I'm a modern woman and I'm faced with two sets of laws, one is Islamic law and one is civic law, and I feel that my traditions within Islamic law do not give meaning to me. Is the nature of our beings fluid enough that, as agents have to interpret that civil law is as Islamic to me, more Islamic to me than what is the traditions being interpreted as. So what we define as meanings also is not as clear cut as we kind of try to fit in. Because I think at your point, you're trying to say that an affirmed reformation of Islamic law, but from that question, it seems that religion is still very much important, rather than just doing away with it and abiding by civic law. So those are sort of like fluidities of meaning that it's quite not clear cut. But I think there's a few more questions or comments at the back.
Hi, I'm Paris. Okay, when we discuss on the idea of public role, it's very much tied to the notion of public sphere or the public space. And when we talk about religion as well, like, how should I say, it's very much, and okay, there's a clarion call today to actually construct conversation, to engage in conversations, whether it's inter-faith or intra-faith. And these conversations can create discourse and discussion to make the public sphere much more enriching all. However, how do we actually ensure that this discussion, we do not baggage in the whole idea of dictating that this should be the way the public space should work? Because that's what's happening right now. In terms of public sphere, there are discussions, there are conversations going on, but there is also, it is also seen that there's a dictating this public space, because it's a vacuum of public. So how do we actually ensure that this dictating that space doesn't occur?
Who's dictating?
From the various religious, from various religions who want to believe that this is a particular. this is the idea of what the public space should be used or should be conducted. I think in terms of rights and laws.
Maybe you can give a concrete example. Specific. Concrete example. Putting on the spot. But
Please, go ahead.
I believe, for this example, I believe the idea of currently in Indonesia that the public sphere has been, dictated by certain ideas of what religion, of what Islam is, or what the laws of the land should be. Not laws of the land, but what a particular kind of law should be implemented, or what are the things that you can say and you cannot say based on certain religious ideas. So how do we actually maintain the public space to be a neutral space rather than the dictating of ideas of rights?
I can agree with this fear about a certain views or institution dictating certain terms and what's right, what's wrong, even before we engage in the conversation and discussion. I mean, when Hannan mentioned about the Islamic views and the other views, then I asked the question, what is an Islamic view? And we are attributing this to Islamic view, whether that is an Islamic view. I mean, one way to see it is really to arrive and to agree on what's good and what's appropriate. And if that is good, then it's Islamic. So I don't start like, okay, Shafi'i says blah 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 blah, Nawawi says blah 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 blah, and these scholars have said and so on and so forth. But this is a position that they make. But one way, there's a prophetic tradition that says that wisdom is the lost property of a Muslim. And if we find that wisdom, that goodness, rightness in that particular view, then we partake in that. I mean, I understand that this is Islamic. Okay, what is that? And if you start with that view, then I'm dictating, okay, this is what Nawawi said, this is what Shafi'i said, and therefore this should be the position. Then I think that's the incorrect thing that we need to actually be critical of our own tradition.
Madam Chairperson, firstly, I apologize for rising the second time. I had intended to restrain myself to only one comment, but I couldn't let pass something that came up, and our gentleman friend made some statements just now, where he said that in his experiences in Europe, he felt that this halal thing, campaign thing, seems to have come across with him as, I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, seemingly aggressive and seemingly taking on something which is not too pleasant. And I want to rise to explain the dilemma. Islam is not the only religious tradition that has got dietary rules. Buddhism has dietary rules, Judaism has dietary rules, Buddhism has dietary rules. Unfortunately, with current interest of this halal food going around in many parts of the world, it may have come across somehow as if Muslims are aggressive. Maybe it has come across as if there's some kind of power play that Muslims are trying to impose their dietary rules upon others. Yet, I seem to discussing with many Muslims, and almost all the Muslims I know of do not want to impose their dietary rule on anybody else. All they are saying is, look, I mean, other people want to have the kosher meat or the vegetarian food, that's fine. We also want to have food which is in conformity with our own dietary laws. But somehow this conversation has gone wrong, alright, and it's come across as being aggressive or power play or imposing on others. And I see that this in Australia, not in Europe, in Australia, there are people who are talking about it in the same tone. That Muslims are agitating for halal, why should they be imposing on this halal? But interestingly, when I traveled to the northern part of Asia, I found the opposite. It's interesting that I found in the Buddhist societies, especially in the Mahayana Buddhist traditions, in Taiwan, in Japan, actually they welcome Muslims and they'll say, look, can we all, yeah, this halal thing is good, we should all support you. And the Japanese government and the Taiwanese government are helping the Muslims to promote more halal outlets. So this is a very strange phenomenon. I want to ask this question: how do we go about having this conversation, religious conversation, without seeming to be imposing on others? What is it that we have done wrong in this halal thing? How could we do it better without seeing as doing some kind of a power play?
Professor Morgan, would you like to respond? Or we encourage some form of responsibility, because it is a direct response to your comment.
This is an example. I mean, I don't see that as relevant to our discussion about religion in public space. This is really about religion in public space, and whether that is seen as also therefore we to put aside religion from this conversation, because you are demanding from halal dietary and so on and so forth. This is a situation where citizens, or world citizens for that matter, everywhere we go, and like any other citizen, they have certain dietary requirements, and they're not demanding, or dictating for that matter. And and this is inspired, guided by a certain religious views. But we are not infringing on others. We don't wish, we don't intend to cause any harm or anything on others. But is that seen as religion imposing or dictating terms in this public space? So therefore, no, you cannot talk about halal thinking because that is religious. This is a secular space, so there's no room for such discourse and discussion. So no halal thing in this table. So is that the kind of conversation that we envisage? I don't know.
I think in Europe, in Europe, I think the idea of the second space is really entrenched in certain institutions like schools, government entities, and I think any imposition for this even dietary requirements is seen as encroaching into the secular space of these so-called secular sacred spaces. So I wonder whether those spaces remain the uncommon spaces. Is there a room to sort of like for religious entities to sort of like enhance the space to include religious rights? But Professor Soli.
Yes, it's a difficult question. I mean, my view can probably like something, but we shouldn't impose what we do on others. But you need some framework in which you can allow halal food to be served in schools and that sort of thing. This needs to be a practical issue, which is a consequence of a policy issue, which you have to have. It says yes, we will allow halal food and kosher food in schools. So once you've made that decision at government level, then it's up to entrepreneurs and whatever to actually actualize it, I suppose. But there are other kind of these issues of within the religion in the public sphere. We're thinking about the political and legislative impact of that, and that's sort of a higher level discourse in a sense in the actual practicalities.
Olympic is coming soon, and the organizer is only talking about providing halal food. Well, I don't think that, I'm not aware that the Muslims are demanding halal food, but this is economic. This is what I know the organizer may want to offer the best service to the people, and there's economic gain to that. So it's not really about religion per se, but it's something else. But yes, obviously there's religion in that conversation. So I understand that halal certification agencies they're obviously taking advantage of this Olympic providing halal meat.
I started by saying that when I first received the topic, my opinion was the contentious issue is not whether is there a public role for religion to do, but rather is it ever possible for religion not to have a public role? Because I always believe that secularism, public role, is always inseparable from religion, that religion is inevitable that religion has a public role, especially in the modern society today. And that is for two reasons. The first is that in every country there are secular laws, there are civil laws, and there are religious laws, but the predominant system is always civil laws. And the thing with civil laws is that civil laws have different interpretations in themselves, and there can be diverse views about the implementation of the civil laws. For example, Section 370A, for example, the contentious issue of death penalty. And therefore, because of these diverse laws, there needs to be a moderating influence in order to have a driving force behind these diverse views, because they are diverse views, and how do we settle these diverse views? And that's where religion comes into play. And in that respect, religion is not a differentiating influence, but it becomes a moderating influence. For example, I don't agree, for example, I don't agree with resolution A, and there is a person B who agrees with resolution A. So how do we moderate these differences through religion? So there are various values, for example, equality, for example, in the fact that humans are born in this manner and all that. So religion becomes an inseparable and inevitable influence to settle these differences. And secondly, the reason why I think religion is inevitable is because right now, in the modern world, different people have different secular views of something. So, meritocracy, for example, if you look at Donald Trump, he plays a lot of cards. For example, the immigration card. For example, the fact that certain countries have been stealing their jobs from Americans. So, how, with these diverse views, how do people deduct their judgment? How do people settle their differences through religion? So instead of religion having differentiating, conflicting, or contentious views, it becomes a moderating influence. It becomes something that settles the differences. So in that respect, religion becomes inevitable. And the question is rather whether religion can ever not have a public role in today's society.
So you're saying religion should be the moderating force amongst diverse views? Religion can be the referee, secularism is dead. Religion now should be playing this moderating force amongst diverse views and amongst conflicts. How do you foresee that?
I'm really skeptical about that. In the sense that the states we live in are secular states, and legislation, but in Europe anyway, comes out of Roman law. I mean, Roman law can be pretty savage, but that's the historical reality. So religious law has to fit in and rest on that Roman law that we've inherited, it seems to be in Europe. It depends on the historical context, of course. So if you're in Saudi Arabia, of course it would be a different situation. So I think it depends on the history of where you are.
Yes, my name is Sarah, and I'm from the EXCO, from the Second Catholic, it's Tibetan Monastery in Singapore. The question of the word public, personally I have concerns, right? I thought, yes, there is a public role, where for my view is bringing to the corporate role, where I could share my Dharma on how I could bring the Dharma path into the corporate world. But the problem is, the root cause is, most of us, when you are into networking business or when you are trained for any social etiquette course, you always say that when you network, during your conversations, two topics you must avoid. You cannot talk about. One, politics. Two, religion. So all of us are very loaded and trained that we do not talk about religion. Even sometimes, when people ask me about being a vegetarian, why can't you take onions or garlic from a Mohammed perspective, I will go very briefly on the surface. I will not go deeply. So the same thing for halal. People may not be aware. So why is it that vegetarian for the Buddhists, or halal for the Muslims, and other special requirements? Why is it issue and not for those in US? You have very popular meals, vegan, please, I'm a vegan, please. That's also a vegetarian, but it's never an issue. I think why? Because it's publicly talked about. Right? Everybody's very healthy being a vegan, but to me, that's also a special requirement. And why is it so when you book a flight on Singapore Airlines or any other airlines, they don't ask you what is your religion, what will you do. They just ask you what is your special meal requirement. So maybe it's about time that we educate the public about the differences between these meals and dietary requirements. That's what I felt personally. It's my deep concern is then maybe we should also coach the social activity coaches. It's time to change. It's okay to discuss about religion.
I can't agree more. I mean, I think it's a real conversation. Bring this to the public, talk about it, not necessarily opposing, but it's education. It's
a mindset that we all have also. So we need to be coached and I should say trained on where you could speak at a level where you are able to share your knowledge.
My name is Harun. I've read the points I raised on my own. Basically, I'm just wondering about the extent to which religion can actually play a public role. I would argue that religion plays a public role, can play a public role only insofar as it builds harmony, only insofar as it helps different religions understand one another. But after a certain threshold for which then it becomes very uncomfortable for people to discuss about religion in a public sphere, especially when the more public you become, then the more pronounced the differences are, and then it can potentially disintegrate into, for lack of a better word, chaos. And I wonder, I think sometimes we struggle, it's also a function of different people who are in the discourse, where the equilibrium actually lies. Because my opinion is that after you cross a certain threshold, then the more public the religion becomes, or whichever religion it be, or whatever differences may arise, it becomes, it erodes into social cohesion, it erodes into the constructive nature of wanting religion to be in the first place. So that's my first point. My second point is whether in Singapore, I'm not sure whether you're aware, what happens is that what the government does is there's such a policy called social engineering. So, given the multiplicity of races in the country, so let's say in a particular block we have, as a policy, different races, there's a quota of each race in the block. I wonder whether there's a role in social engineering in terms of getting people from different religions together to discuss, to be able to talk in a common space, or even to enmesh them together, just so that they can have that space to be able to discuss and think through or meet other people of different religions. The problem with that is that sometimes I think that it artificially prevents discourse, prevents deepening and maturity in the public space where people discuss openly. And yeah, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on your plan, and also then something else.
Well, again, I can't agree more than that. I'm also a public servant. I think I don't mention it, I shared with these colleagues in the public service. I think eventually the policy and vision has to be made. Rightly or wrong. I mean, we've got a set and we have mandated the current government, and we have trust in public services before. We accept the fact that whether through social engineering or whatever means, the responsibility of the authority is to ensure harmonious living. And through their ijtihad, through their reasoning, that could possibly be the way that it is. I do respect that. I think we all respect that. But we also need to allow space for the conversation. Whether when we arrive at that position, we have given enough space for the conversation to take place, even within the service. Now that I don't have the results, I want to think, I want to believe that yes, we have given sufficient space for discussion. That's left to be seen, and we must continue to engage. I mean, as citizens, we also hold a civic responsibility to contribute and do it in a responsible way. But there's another thing that I want to stress, that we too, as citizens, also need to learn some of these skills. I mean, my concern is we ask for space, but we may not have the necessary skills, aptitude, and attitude to engage in this civic discussion. So I've said this to friends, you want this, that, and so on and so forth, but anybody, you must also learn to appreciate the others. You must learn how to negotiate, you must learn how to engage public. It's not just about you demanding for your rights. Others also have their rights. And I think that competencies, that aptitude for that coalition is also much to be desired, to my views. So it's certainly multi-pronged. The power that we provide the space, sufficient space, and the public citizens must also demonstrate, exhibit that civicness, that civility to engage in public discourse. Have that responsibility, the attitude, the aptitude, the competency to engage where you acknowledge that there are multi-interests involved in this conversation. You cannot impose only us or demand for their rights. People on that table also have their rights, and they deserve the time to.
Let me just conclude, because I want to spend the last few minutes on solutions and moving forward. But if I can quickly ask Professor Flood, I mean, when you're talking about common goods, I hear words like religious harmony, prosperity, tolerance. How useful is the terminology of using common good in trying to shape our communities? Because we're living in a very heightened, divisive state where there's a lot of cacophony of voices wanting their own rights and so how useful is using common good or public good as a way to carry communities or more society? And how do you define what is a common good?
How do you define the common good? It's a very good question. Part of it is, what other kind of language do we have for? We've got the languages of the communities and traditions, which are paying for their rights and so on. But within the public sphere, you have to have a language of justice and equality and progress, in a sense. And the degree to which particular traditions can relate to that is an issue. I agree. I don't know what the solution is. Well, I don't like social engineering very much myself. Somebody said to me that in Singapore, on Sunday nights, the TV programs are really boring, so everyone will get up and work on Monday morning. But I think if you have a discourse of in the public sphere about religion, so that's also driven. I mean, the conversational discourse is non-teleological, it's not goal-directed. But should we perhaps have a kind of discussion that is goal-directed, that is directed towards certain kind of values that we agree on, like justice and equality? And in which case it's not open-ended, it's actually goal-directed and orientated towards an outcome. So I think perhaps we need more of that.
Thanks for that. I think that's a good useful solution. Reverend Octavia?
Hi, my name is Ken. I'd like to ask the speakers, my sense is that you've not really unpacked the issue for us. I think there remains a lot of terms, a lot of issues that are elusive and also ambivalent. I was hoping, so the sense that I get when you speak of a role for religion is some sort procedural rather than substantive. So it's easy to say, let's discuss. But then I feel it's a very low threshold. There's a very low threshold for us to bring forward the discussion. So it's merely as if to say, it's enough if we can sit down and talk and not chop off each other's head. That's a very low threshold, I feel, I feel, of course, I understand different jurisdictions have different levels of course, it's not that easy as I put it to be, but shouldn't there be an ideal that should be higher, something substantive? And I was hoping, rather than just giving us a broad explanation, could you highlight what are the layers of religion that we are supposed to pay attention to? Is it theological? Is it doctrine? Is it legal? Is it jurisprudential? Is it policy? And how do these concepts go from one level to the other? How do we negotiate? When does one stay there and not move on to the next level? And where does one go all the way from theological straight to policy? I don't get a sense of what we're trying to do. And the other thing that I was interested to ask also is that, so if we ask the question, is there a public role for religion? Should we also perhaps attach this question to another question? Can religion play a public role? Also, is religion equipped to play a public role? I think that should be asked as well. If religion were, and if we want to bring religion into the conversation, it must be something that is also special at the same time universal. What do you contribute when you bring in discussions of Islam? What does Islam have to say on terrorism, gender equality, environment, animal rights? It must be something special. If you're a Christian, what does Christian mean? So in that sense, religion, in order to participate at the same time, must be universal enough, but it also must be particular enough to bring something special. If Dr. Hannan mentions we talk about common good as a citizen, then we might as well leave religion out of the context. Why are we talking about religion anyway? So there must, what I'm trying to point out, perhaps there also must be a theological underpinning that supports and gives power to our arguments and makes it compelling enough for people to want to say we need to defend this right over
Can I rejoin to that? Very quickly, just a rejoinder to that. You see, sometimes conversation is only for the privileged. We are privileged enough to be able to sit and discuss. But it is not so if you are subjected to some form of coercion, especially through the legal system, for example. And let's take it that we are living in a modern society where the nation state is a centralized coercive power with codified laws that are able to put certain groups or communities in check. And this is where the root of the problem is, particularly if you are disenfranchised, particularly if you belongs to a religious or any kind of minorities, racial, including sexual minorities. I think that is the root of the problem in dealing with this kind of pluralistic society within the framework of nation state. And we have to deal with this because it is easy often to clamor for our own rights, but we will not think twice about imposing or coercing another particular group based on that same rights. So the true measure of our citizenship, of our common agreement to the common good within a framework of nation state is when we are able to stand up and defend for the rights of the others whom we disagree with. Yeah? So I can see the point of Muslims in the West, for example, clamoring for halal and all that. But what about Muslims in Muslim majority countries who have no qualms about imposing the right, imposing upon the non-Muslims not to consume alcohol, for instance? Isn't that an infringement also? And we have not been discussing this, that we are easy to claim rights for ourselves, but we are often not thinking twice about imposing that same right on others. We may disagree with homosexuality, for instance, but why are we coercing someone who does not subscribe to the same system, value system as us, and impose a criminal code upon them? For example, the 3778. And we have not even discussed this, and when we get to the concrete, then we will be able to unpack a lot of these issues and see where the contradictions are between what we profess as our values and where we actually fall short of what we actually claim to be in terms of equality, justice, and everything else.
From Dr. Yap.
Part of the problem that we are facing this evening actually is that we assume that we all understand what religion is. The government, for whatever reasons, actually, I guess the late what Imran has just said, we're trying to stay in power and remain in control, will always recite the mantra, religion and politics cannot mix. That religion must be separated from politics. That is an impossible action for anyone. And I think Dr. Hannan has indicated from the very beginning that we cannot talk about religion in terms of a body of material, although we claim it's a reveal, as if it is some scientific fact that we have to discover and we'll bring it to the table. That's not the case. Religion is mediated through a human agency. It is in us. And every politician has a religion of one form or the other. And it's not completely secular. And to recite that it can be separate is an impossibility of any human being, because doctrines and beliefs do not talk to one another. People talk to one another. And we are influenced by religion because of the traditions that we have. And that calls for a lot of intra-dialogue, so that we begin to see how this religious understanding at one stage in human history, at one particular place in human history, can be quite different. And we see the differences. So within each religious tradition, there must be the internal dialogue. And because we are all members of the public, and each one is different, coming from different experiences, which we call spiritual or which we call religious, and also common values and standards. So in a pluralistic society in which we are in, we cannot just say you park your religion and then you come in as a secular citizen. But the person who participates can never cut religion off. You cannot take out our shoes and say, now we are on holy ground. It is part of our life, and it is we who are into dialogue. Therefore, it is important for us to be always open, so that we know that we have been nurtured, we have accepted, but it's always relative to us and our time in our moment. And therefore, we must always be open to other insights of other people who came from other traditions. And if we do not manage the pluralism that exists and affirm it with an understanding that we bring whatever beliefs we have, so-called secular beliefs, I don't know what secular beliefs mean, but and also religious beliefs, I don't know how we can separate one from the other so easily, I couldn't understand. But if we have to relate to one another with an openness to learn from one another, to address some of the issues and challenges that we face. So we have to be quite clear how we understand religion and how religion is being reflected in the lives of people.
Just briefly, I call for conversation. Obviously, I'm not calling only for us to get together and chat, blah, 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 and then, okay, let me go home. Obviously, that cannot be the case. At each conversation, we have specific issues, we unpack certain concepts, which what we are calling. I mean, Muis Gavin, one of our objectives in this theme of religion, public space, is to identify key terms, key words, and then unpack and really analyze what they mean. Even the word religion, they are totally different meanings here. So I know that's really obvious, and then we cannot only talk about the big things. I agree that we need to go to the specifics. Certainly, this is not the objective in this session to talk about any specifics. However, I'm a bit. I've issue with your statement that is religion equipped to play a public role. Like I mentioned earlier, and Reverend Yap has also mentioned, it's not religion in abstract. It's us people involved in this conversation. So the question is, are we equipped to participate in this public conversation? And we come from different, we have certain worldviews. Humanist, progressive, religious, Buddhist, Muslim, what have you. So it's really about us, the people, the agency. Are we equipped? And therefore, I mentioned just now, while we call for conversation, but I'm equally concerned and ask this question whether we have the competencies, we have the attitude and attitude. Are we equipped to engage in this public discourse? It's not, it's religion equipped, but it's you and I, we. So therefore, this common good, and therefore, when you mentioned that if this conversation is about talking about common good, and therefore religion has no role. But again, religion is not, in this discussion of common good, is Reverend Yap, is Chen, is me, is Ibrahim, and we come with certain value system, we come with certain worldviews. We cannot detach them. It is religion probably, it may not be religion, but we all come with certain, we don't come in tabula rasa. I mean, we all come with certain experience, and that experience we are informed by those experiences and those worldviews.
Yes, well, I concur with that. We're already in the midst of things, and we come as human beings to the public sphere with those values that are informing us and those beliefs. But I thought some of those comments were very interesting just now. The issue of the level of discourse, if you like, that somebody that was addressing. I was promoting kind of a weak theory, if you like, of religion and public law. But perhaps we do need something more robust. I'm skeptical of theological discourse within that, though, because theological positions are what they are, and they're very difficult to speak theologically across traditional boundaries, in my experience anyway. But I think, as this conversation has gone on this evening, I think I'm more convinced that there should be a more robust directionality to this idea of religion in the public sphere, and that it should be promoting of certain kinds of values that we share, that we have to agree on, such as equality, gender equality, social justice, and this kind of thing. Now, how do you do that? Of course, that's because you have to speak truth to power, as it were. I mean, that's where the issue lies. So you have to convince people who have control of power with us to put in place these kind of legislative procedures and directions, as well as changing people's hearts. And that's education, and that's a long-term project.
With around 10 minutes in our discussion, so I think I'll allow for one comment before we close up with our session today. So I think I see Ashraf.
Hello, hi. Whether or not are we equipped or we are not equipped, we have to be equipped, because according to the research done from the Pew Research Center, and I quote, those not affiliated with any religion, such as atheists and agnostic, will make a declining share of the world's total population by 2050, in contrast with the increasing people affiliated with religion. So whether or not we are equipped or we need specificity, we have to be equipped. But the question is, how are you going to make religion as a public goal when we have this rhetoric of anti-religion, or we search new article, the youth are shunning religion, people already have stereotypical misconception of religion. You may say that religion must be in a public goal, but what about the past? Religion have caused a chaos. How are you going to repackage it and make it sufficient or make it relevant in a public goal? This is the question.
Well, I started with John Locke, and I have still a lot of sympathies with that position. Religions are licensed instabilities which have caused such destruction in the history of humanity. But hopefully we're getting to a point where we don't have to kill each other over religion anymore. And we can agree certain basic human values and so on, and move towards their implementation in public law in terms of social justice and equality and so on. But how we do that, I think, is a good question.
Spend like the last 5 minutes if we can talk about practical solution-focused ways that each and every one of us in our roles as a religious leader, a youth leader, or an activist, are there suggestions, critical suggestions? What are the challenges and what are your aspirations for the role that religion can play in building more inclusive societies? I'll open it up before I sort of like get our panelists to sort of have their own aspirations.
I just want to mention, passing that I'd like to recommend I'm impressed with New Zealand. I've become increasingly impressed with the fact that in New Zealand you have a Christian majority that is unanimous, open, and welcoming more minority religions, more people to understand the other religions. So that New Zealand is celebrating the diversity of religion and encouraging people to learn about religion, not to preach to others, but to learn about religion. And this is enshrined in many of its legislations and documents. And I think that I personally felt that it's an experience that I wanted to share with others. I think more people should look at the experience of New Zealand, where they had not been embroiled in conflict, religious conflict, or had a history of religious violence, but instead have a Christian majority somehow has evolved and are actually encouraging people to have a more open view in learning about it. Thank you.
My colleague Paul Morris teaches in New Zealand. He's been part of this promotion, and I completely agree with everything you just said. It's actually an endorsement of the academic study of religions. So I agree with that.
I'll just stand up a little.
Hi, I'm Arif. As for my aspirations, I guess, like, I sympathize with what Ken said about, like, the opinions being put forth sound very nice and, like, yes, it makes sense. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, when differences are put into play, sometimes they do get pronounced, and sometimes people do get fired up, get angry, and then it translates one thing to another. And at the end of the day, it's the chaos. For example, what Ashraf said, religion has brought about chaos. It starts somewhere. So, I guess to begin with, and it does sound idealistic, what we can do is that perhaps the vision is to have people of different orientations, religious or non-religious, to be able to
really sit face to face and talk the differences out and put the vision or the objective as at the end of the discussion, you're not going to get emotional out. You feel like you want to chop the person's head off, although you won't for legal reasons. But you will not feel like you want to chop the head off. So I guess it sounds ideal, but because I feel that most of the time, whether it's online or offline, we function, when it comes to differences, it seems that we function on hatred and animosity, as even whether it's intra-faith, or is it interfaith, or is it religion versus non-religion. The driving force is that what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is different from mine, is inaccurate, whatever it is, immoral, and therefore it pushes this hatred, and then that's where, and religion seems to be the most potent to promote differences in that sense, because people really believe in it, whereas it seems that secularism, as much as some say that it's unclear what secular values are, but it seems that they can function on a more common good where people can agree, whereas religion would not be able to do that. It seems that way, I guess, to a layman like me. So, the vision for me or my inspiration is that really people with differences, like very vast differences, can sit in a table and talk rather than backbite one another without any clear vision of where we're going. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. And I think if I can add on to what you said, I mean, we talk about differences, but there's a lot of people who should be in this conversation today. I was discussing with Dr. Hannan what is the term, and I think we sort of stood on hardliners, who are those hardliners who do not want to engage in conversation, and who is responsible for bringing them to the conversation, bringing them to the table to have these critical discussions. So thanks for that.
This is a quick, I'm not sure whether pardon me if I got it wrong, but they're saying that we just have these problems, this and topic of common denominator could be secular views. You're not saying that, right?
As in the public sphere, as far as Singapore is concerned.
Yeah, but I said that I'm not sure whether secular, there's one form of secularity, there's one form of secularism. Even for that matter, democracy, whether there's one form of democracy, right? And whether that is a common definition of secularism and so on. Singapore secularism as opposed to French secularism and US secularism, they're all different forms. So there's even within these concepts, seemingly neutral, non-religious, there are also variants to them, and it's not problematic, right? So then they do need to come to onto the table, the hardliners also, and talk about it, because I think the fanatics and the extremes are not only in religious communities. You've got fanatics, extremes within the secularists, within the liberals, within the, or what have you. I mean, you can go to extremes. Yeah. So it's not only religions to be faulted. I mean, it's just human, and it's human agency. We carry this Hannan thingy. We carry that Islamic worldviews or secular worldview or whatever. It's meaningless, right?
Sorry, I'm a political scientist thinking about the political issues. And there are so many incredible fires in the world at the moment that I think the urgent role for the religion is to do something against abuse of religion. By the Saudi Arabian Wahhabi mission and so on, against the funding of settlements in Palestine by the American evangelists and so on, and trying to reduce, counteract against the abuse of religion in so many ways we have at the moment.
So, if If I could just get Professor Flood and Dr. Hannan to sort of close this session. I think we've covered quite a bit of ground. I think generally, I think the consensus is that we all of us do believe that religion cannot be separated in very deep boxes in society. You know, we can pick and choose when to sort of like identify as Muslim, when I can identify as a Muslim. I think we all should sort of move towards a way where religious aspirations can contribute to the common good, although we can discuss further what that common good is. I don't think the discussion should stop here. But if you could be given a magical wand, sorry, this is a Harry Potter influencer, and I hope I'm not being blasphemous to any religious traditions that do not believe in magic, but if you were to give given a magical wand to create this wonderful world where everything is nice and religions can flourish and humans are at peace with one another, no one is killing each other. Okay, so that sounds like my kind of world, right? So I mean, like, what would the components of your ideal world be? Because I think it's also, well, we discuss real politics and reality. I think it's also important to keep hope and idealism alive. As religious communities, we're faced with very challenging days ahead, but I think the optimism that lies and the positives that lies within all traditions should be kept alive at one point. So I hope we can end this sort of session with some kind of hopeful trajectory of what our future can be. Is it Flood?
Well, very difficult. What would I cosmopolitanism would be one word I would perhaps use, inclusivism. I won't really use the word tolerance, but and I think religious and non-religious people, we have to galvanize forces against literalisms and fundamentalisms and forces that result in the kind of American evangelicals funding housing in Las Vegas and that. We have to galvanize forces against this. But that's a global political issue, and so it's multi-layer. And how that happens, I don't know. I suspect it's generational, as I said earlier. But I'm an optimist.
But I think that will happen until, as a believer, until I step into the paradise of Allah. Because throughout human histories, there wasn't a time where there wasn't more hype. I mean, even theologically, as a Muslim, we've been doing our divine revelation in this status that God said that people will fight and cause harm and lunch, and so forth. So, by having said all this, I mean, which I stated earlier, what religion gives me, notwithstanding this wrongness, all this conflict, pains and gains, is to give me hope and optimism. I do not know the wisdom, I do not know, I may not discern, understand the divine wisdom behind all this. But really, religion keeps me going, not to give up. And that's the kind of optimism, because throughout history, I mean, there was a time, not single time that, like I said, until we step in the paradise, provided we believe in the afterlife. So my take on this some practical suggestion. It may be cliche to some of us. Again, I've been repeating this word many times. That this conversation must continue, and we must come to that table wanting to learn, put aside all those stereotypes, prejudices, or the others I want to say about, like you were saying just now. So this must continue, one. Secondly, but this conversation must also continue, more importantly, within a tradition. I think we need to be self-critical. We need to self-price ourselves, and that also must continue. Again, this is because this is human agencies. I mean, religious concepts are being brought to us through human agencies. We didn't get it direct from God. It's again true. So I think it is very important that each religious tradition engage in the dialogue and conversation with its history, its past, its present, and its future. And I think that is even probably more difficult, more challenging, because of engaging in the conversation dialogue with our very own traditions. Thirdly, I thought probably this is also culture. I mean, probably we have not developed that culture to engage publicly on issues like Sarah was saying just now. We are young still. We are just only 50 years, the age of the nation. 50 years is just like 5 months of age, right? So we develop all that. Even the US, after hundreds of years, we are still struggling with a lot of what constitutes public space, secularism, freedom of speech, and so on. I don't know what will the outcome eventually be, but we just need to go through the process. And the act of dialogue itself to me is virtuous, it's worthy, the act. So we must continue at public level, in schools. The Singapore way is always a practical way of doing things, political life, but I don't know when this will change, but we will just discover along the way. And finally, I thought media also plays a very important role in projecting this nuance, understanding. And this is what public education mentioned earlier, and media has an important role. Sometimes, do we have media friends here? I thought I saw.
We're talking about New York Times or Washington Post.
Yeah, but and this is the thing. Sometimes in our hurry, in our haste to get this printed, we tend to take things, we tend to oversimplify things. We bias of information. Not to say Wikipedia like something, but which I also understand. If media wants to print serious articles, then people will not also read it. That's also.
Sorry, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. It's just that you hit a point that I really wanted to say, but I couldn't because it closed. I'm coming from a media, from a producer point of view. And I think there is a huge absence in the voice of reason in media.
Voice of?
Reason. I think I, for once, actually stopped reading the news because I felt it was spiritual abuse. It was just way too much sadness and craziness, and no one was talking about positivity. And I think, I wrote this down because I thought I was going to send it to you, but there is an absence of the voice of reason in the media. The media forgets that it plays a huge role in today's digital age. In fact, the research has shown how most of New York Times articles have anti-Islamic rhetoric. It's a true research lesson that has actually shown that. So it's time to, if the media is not going to do that, then we can be media producers. We can be the agents of change and the voice of reason, exactly what he said. Whether we or not are equipped to have that voice of reason backing from whatever worldviews that we have. And we have to change the conversation, because the conversation is not about understanding, it's just about you're right and I'm wrong. So media really plays a role, and all of us are media producers in this age. So that's my aspiration, really, to give that voice of reason for all of us.
And that's why I've been optimistic also. Inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I like the idea of us being empowered to switch the narratives, becoming more vocal in the public space. I mean, for me personally, I think the meaning that religion gives me is that, and this is also reiterated by the likes of Rowan Williams in his book Faith in the Public Space, Square, is that religion should always be the moral voice for the downtrodden, for injustice, speaking up against injustices. And what better time, or not better time, I wish there was a better word to say that, but in these challenging times, I think religion has that role to play to become a more transformative voice, to build more inclusive societies. I think that's what all our religious traditions teach us. So with that, I don't want to prolong your evening much longer. Thank you so much for being a very participative audience. Please join me in thanking the panelists of the great side. Before that, Please do fill up the feedback forms. What we will do after this, because we take your comments very seriously, for next year, we will be focusing a lot on globalization or the failure of globalization and diversity. It's one of our key themes from Muis Academy, so please give us your inputs and comments and feedback. It's been wonderful engaging with you throughout 2016. Wish you happy holidays, and I look forward to meeting all of you in 2017. Inshallah. Have a very good evening, and thank you.